Hi guys, so from time to time Boris Johnson does face a challenge by the media. Generally what happens is a journalist asks a question, Boris Johnson gives his prepared answer, and then we move on to the next topic. But that's not the case when it comes to Channel 4. Channel 4 have a very good journalist called Gary Gibbon, who likes to have politicians actually answer questions. So let's see how this interview went.
Like this.
And the West has been in retreat, people have felt for a while.
A huge amount has been done.
And there's been the Trump years.
A huge
which
amount has
some
been...
people in that room think you were part of.
A huge amount.
You were his closest buddy, they thought.
A huge amount has been done here at Carbis Bay.
What's the truth? Were you his best buddy?
I love this, I really do, because Boris Johnson wanted to talk about what he had prepared, and Gary Gibbon is having none of it. Were you Were you Donald Trump's closest buddy? There is a lack of trust between Europe and Britain at the moment because of Boris Johnson. There's a lack of trust between the United States and the UK at the moment because of Boris Johnson. If Donald Trump had won the election back in 2020, we would be facing a very different G7 here. Boris Johnson would be in a much stronger position. Now he's in a much weaker position because his friend and ally is gone. Boris Johnson really doesn't have any allies left. And the only people who he has to deal with, the European Union and the United States, don't trust him one iota.
President Biden thought you were his clone.
It's the job of the Prime Minister of the United States to...
The Prime Minister of the United States. I understand. Maybe it's the sun. Maybe it's the pressure. It's getting to him. But these are the cracks appearing in Boris Johnson.
Have a good relationship with whoever.
The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Prime Minister of the United Kingdom have a good relationship with whoever.
Yes, of course. But they feel you went much further than the others, and also that you're not a supporter of the rules-based system, which is at the heart of the West. You know who I'm thinking of, and they're in that room. You're about to go and see them. You've already met one of them, or a few of them this morning. The EU...
So Trump represented tearing up agreements. Trump represented breaking international law. And Boris Johnson thought he could do the same. He wanted to emulate Trump. But as I said before on numerous occasions, there's a big difference between the UK and the United States. The United States has the political and military power if it wants to break international law. The UK doesn't. When the UK was a member of the European Union, it was in a much more powerful position. Now it's in a much more diminished position.
EU leaders don't think you're part of the rules-based system. They think you rip up agreements that you've signed.
No, well, that's not true. And
they think that.
Well, I don't think
that
they
might
think
be
that.
True, mightn't it?
I think what you've got in the case of, if you're talking about the Northern Ireland Protocol, what you've got is something that it's stated abundantly in the text of the protocol should be implemented in such a way as to ensure free trade and free movement of goods between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, between all parts of the UK, and it's not working like that at the moment. We need to make sure that it's applied in a sensible way, and we're doing the sensible thing.
But you know, lots of people say
the territorial integrity of the United Kingdom.
Lots of people say, people who you were in the last government under Theresa May with, people who were part of the negotiations, and all the EU leaders say, all these consequences of the deal you signed were absolutely laid out very clearly, black and white, repeated again and again, over years.
This is very interesting because, as we know, Boris Johnson is saying the protocol has these problems in it and we need to overcome these problems. And, many of these problems were unpredictable problems, when in reality, they were part of the protocol, part of what he actually signed. You can't turn around and say, we didn't know that these things would happen, if you actually read the agreement.
And they wonder whether you secretly intended to rip this thing up all the time. Say it was all laid out beforehand. Couldn't have been clearer. There were years of negotiations spelling this all out. It came as a total surprise to you, all these checks.
Of course it wasn't laid out.
See, the problem with Boris Johnson, and other people have noticed this as well, is that he will do something in order to get over a problem, a very short-term problem. So, if he has a problem with the ERG, he'll give them something in order to keep them quiet for today. And then when tomorrow arrives, there's a new problem and he'll try and fix that problem on that day. There is no long-term thinking. There was no long-term thinking when it came to Brexit. There was no long-term thinking when it's coming to Northern Ireland and the protocol in Northern Ireland. Everything is about what can we do today to get over the problems of today. We'll deal with the problems of tomorrow when tomorrow arrives. This is an idiotic position to take, but it's true Boris Johnson style.
In that way, but we're going to sort it out. And
they say you don't keep your word.
We're going to sort it out, and if we can't sort it out, then we will do what is necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. How much more of this?
2 more.
I like the expression at the end, as Gary Gibbon is walking away. Boris Johnson's like, I can't take any more of this. I can't take any more of these challenging interviews. Most of the interviews he receives are softball questions. Channel 4 really do get in Boris Johnson and the Tories' side because they actually ask questions that people want to hear answers to. Boris Johnson, as I said before, is dishonest. The public know he's dishonest. Some of the public don't care. But political leaders, those in the European Union and those in the United States, are concerned about his dishonesty because they need to trust him. He's been given the withdrawal agreement, the Northern Ireland Protocol to implement, and you need to trust him to do it, and he's not doing it. And unfortunately, there's no real way around that problem, apart from imposing sanctions or tariffs on the United Kingdom, punishing the United Kingdom because Boris Johnson is either dishonest or incompetent. I'll leave a link to the full clip in the description of this video. Do check it out. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?